Right, today we're going to make a substance called Oobleck, and it does come under a few different names. I just love the word Oobleck. I believe Oobleck comes from a Dr. Seuss character. Oobleck is particularly good if you are wanting to study or have an interest in the difference between liquids, solids and gases. Because the cool thing with Oobleck is that at one point it can be a liquid, but then another point it can be a solid. So to make Oobleck, all you need to have is some corn flour or cornstarch, just another name for it, something to mix with, and a bowl. And you'll need some water as well. And to get your ratios right, roughly speaking, you're looking at around about 2 parts of corn flour or cornstarch to 1 part of water. So it just depends on how much oobleck you'd like to make. About 2 to 1, but you kind of just keep adding a little bit more corn flour or a bit more water until you get the consistency right. So I'll start to make some up and I'll come back. So I'm making a reasonably small batch. So I've just got in here half a cup of water, and I've had measured out 1 cup of corn flour. And I'm just not putting the whole cup of corn flour in yet, just in case it's not quite the right amount. So I'm just sort of mixing and adding, and it's hard to explain, but you'll know when it's ready. You'll just know, and it's getting quite close because I'm starting to see some thick, gluggy stuff happening. One of the reasons corn flour works really well is because it is such a fine powder. Normal flour won't work because the actual particles of flour are a little bit bigger than corn flour. And it's got the potential to be messy, but sometimes messy is good. And of course you can add in some food colouring if you want, but it does tend to just stain your hands once you get your hands on it. So I'm not today, but man, now you can start to see this working well. Now Oobleck is so cool because it's that kind of thing that's maybe sometimes a liquid and maybe sometimes a solid. I might just put a little bit more in, so you can see I've nearly got a whole cup in now, and it's starting to come together. So if I can, I'll try and explain what Oobleck does. Yeah, that's just about ready. Maybe just a shade more. So if you put your finger into Oobleck slowly, it's actually a liquid, but if you hit it quite hard with something, it's like a solid. So hopefully we've got it about right to show you. So just with my finger, going in slowly, it goes in just like a liquid. So it looks a bit like milk, it's not, but it goes in nice and quite sticky. But it's like a liquid. But if I do this, it's like a solid, hitting it hard. And that's the wonder of Oobleck. I can probably go with just a shade more, but you get in the idea. And it's definitely right now because it's really hard to mix, and that's perfect. So you can get messy with it. You can have some in your hand. When it's in your hand, if I just sort of let it go, it's oozing like a liquid, but if I give it a squeeze, it's gone like a solid. And that's the wonder of Oobleck. Thankfully, a lot of students often ask why it becomes a solid and why it becomes a liquid, and I've made up a story once that seemed to resonate with students, and it goes like this. If you picture you've got your whole class of students in your class and you tell them to all run out the door together, and then you tell them that each of the students is a wee particle of corn flour. So of course when they all run out the door together, they're going to get jammed in the door frame, and that's like being a solid, all the particles getting squashed together. But if you tell them to go out the door, but just go one by one, nice and slowly, they're all going to get out the door a little bit slower, but they're all going to get out the door. And that's like the particles just being a wee bit more separated and a wee bit more orderly, and that's the liquid. So hopefully that explains Oobleck. Have some fun, don't get too messy, but it's a very, very cool substance.